So why should you listen to me, Elijah Delport? Well, in the last 24 hours alone, I've generated 51.86 thousand views for a brand with 14 followers. This is in the very startup phase. And I've also generated 1.6 million views for a brand with less than 5,000 followers. This is with one video. And I've worked with dozens of other brands from startup to established, all using the same strategies as brands like Corteiz. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Why Corteiz rules the fashion world. So here's what we're going to cover. Who is Corteiz? What is their strategy? And how can you apply it to your brand? Hopefully so you can get some similar results to some of my clients in my coaching program, or even better, to Corteiz. By the way, before we get into this video, please use the link in the description to join a community of 100 plus motivated brand owners on School. I have a free streetwear marketing course inside there. Use the link in the description or the one on screen. It's absolutely free. Pro tip, watch this in 2 times speed, just save some time. All right, let's get straight into it. So who is Corteiz to start? Well, this is their Instagram page and they've got 1.3 million followers. And they've started in 2017 they're a London, UK-based brand, and they sell out in minutes every single drop. So they do limited quantity drops, probably much like you and your brand. And they were the most searched brand in 2022. Of all the brands in the world, even surpassing Nike and Supreme and Adidas, Corteiz was more searched than even some of the greatest brands that we have in society. And so, yes, of course, they have 1.3 million Instagram followers, not including their other platforms. And by the way, that's on a private Instagram account, which is absolutely amazing. So what is their strategy? We're going to be getting into exactly what their strategy is so that you can apply it to your brand too. Very simply, their strategy is build a community. That is what Corteiz is known for. They are known for their community. But why would you even want to build a community? Why has Corteiz's community been the very factor, the very reason why they have been able to reach the heights that they have? It's very simple. Customer loyalty. And customer loyalty can be broken down like this. It's increased customer lifetime, which means if you increase the lifetime of a customer, they have more chances to buy and they're probably going to buy more times, which means you also increase the customer's lifetime value. In other words, basically just more money from the same amount of people. They also have decreased churn. Now that means the number of customers that become past customers. They bought once, but they don't anymore. That's decreased, that rate, which means there's more people that stay for longer. And finally, the reason to build community is self-fulfillment. The community has a true positive impact in society. And that is another reason besides all these financial reasons, to feel at the end of the day like you can lay your head down in the pillow and know that you are making true impact, that people are following your brand, finding friends, and that is why they're buying from you. That is a real positive impact you're having, especially if your community is around a real good message. However, many see the community that Corteiz has built and they go wrong. And you might be making some of these mistakes too. Here's how it goes. They see what Corteiz posts and they see Corteiz's community. So what they do is they start posting like Corteiz. But they miss the point and it doesn't work. Maybe you've already been in this situation where you've found yourself in one of these parts of this cycle, or maybe you are about to, or maybe you've already been through all of it and you figured, well, this really isn't working. You're on the brink of giving up on your brand. Maybe you're yet to start. Whatever it is, if you're here and watching this video, you've probably heard of Corteiz and you've probably considered taking heavy inspiration from what they're doing because it's working. But there's a reason why simply doing that doesn't work and won't work for you. Because you look at their brand page, and this is a screenshot from their most recent posts, and you see that they're posting pictures of their products, of their designs, and the people wearing them. And you go, well, you know what? That must be Corteiz's strategy, so I'm going to do that too. However, what you're missing is the behind the scenes. Everything that is motivating what they're posting, all the strategy written out, that is on a piece of paper somewhere or on someone's laptop that is not posted. That is what's motivating and influencing what is being released to the world on the Corteiz social media page. And that's the part that you don't see, and that's what makes this work. It's not the fact that they're posting their clothing. It's what's behind, the ideas behind all of these posts that you don't see that's making this work. And so that's what I'm going to share with you a bit today. And so the point of this whole video is that you understand the Corteiz strategy so you may implement it yourself, right? Because you can look at a strategy and take it. The problem is every brand is different and that's not going to work for you. However, if you can see a strategy and understand how it works, well, that's very different, because now you can apply it in a way that's a bit different for your brand, in a way that's going to work for you. And that's my aim for today. So let's talk about the real Corteiz strategy, right? That I just showed you, the one that we see online that everyone believes it is. However, I'm going to share with you what I believe is the true Corteiz strategy, the behind the scenes of it all, and the real, the secret sauce to what makes it work. Here it is. Step 1, define your brand identity. Step 2, derive the aesthetic. And step 3, build a community. I'm going to be going in depth into each of these steps, so make sure you stick around, because if you miss any of these steps, especially the last one, you risk missing out on all the benefits of building a community, or even being able to build a community at all. So don't miss any of these steps. Let's get into it. Step 1, define your brand identity. So theirs is very simple: rebellion against convention, right? And they have this catchphrase that's in their bio. We saw it before. Corteiz rules the world. This is part of their rebellion. They're building an empire, a movement of people. Like, this is their community. And this is nothing about clothing. This is simply a brand identity. And so it's all about rebellion, defiance, hood culture, London backstreets, crime, black rights, and elevating low socioeconomic minorities. This is what is behind the Corteiz brand. And the reason we call it a brand is because it's exactly that. It's not about a product. The product simply represents a deeper meaning, a deeper identity, and that is why and how they're able to build a community, because we cannot relate with fabric the same way that we can relate with a message or some sort of ideology that we deeply resonate with. And this, in front of me on my screen right now, are all the elements, or some of the elements, that make up this identity that they're sharing through, the lens at which they're sharing through. So let's have a look at how it actually comes out through their Instagram page. Look at this. This is a post they made in 2020. And it's someone holding up a sign that says Black Lives Matter. Now this, if we come back to my points, this is to do with elevating low socioeconomic minorities and black rights. We can see this has absolutely nothing to do with the clothing. Instead, it has everything to do with their brand. And you can see the comments. They're going absolutely nuts with people in support of this brand message. These are people that resonate with the ideology that Corteiz is sharing about rebellion against the convention, right? Because the convention, maybe the easy thing to do is racism, is to hate, but Corteiz is preaching a message of Black Lives Matter. And that is one way that they're showing their rebellion against the convention. Here's another one. Now, what are they showing here? In this post, we can see a number of people in a low socioeconomic demographic area. It almost looks like slums, and they're in Rio de Janeiro. This post, again, it's not really about the clothing. Although the people in the post are wearing the Corteiz garments, what it's really showing is a snapshot into the lives of some backstreets, of the hood culture of Brazil. And this, again, is reflecting the identity right back at the ones that will become a part of the community. Because anyone who sees this and it's a familiar image for anyone who's grown up in a space like this. I mean, I haven't. I've been very lucky that I haven't. However, there are others that see this and see the familiar image and they say, there's a brand, finally there's a brand that is elevating minority groups like me, that is here to support and be a community to lift up this minority group. So that's number one. It's all about defining your brand identity, and it has nothing to do with the clothing. It has everything to do with the brand. The clothing simply embodies it or represents that message. Number two, it's all about deriving your aesthetic. And what are we deriving the aesthetic from? We're just deriving it from the brand message or the brand identity. So have a look. This is Cortez's aesthetic. It's all grunge, harsh lighting, tilted horizons, deadpan expressions, dirty and dangerous, film grain. Now, they haven't just made this up, because a lot of brands will just make it up and they'll start here. Maybe you've started here. But the reason I put this at step 2 is because it's very important that you have a brand identity first, because you get to say, well, our brand identity is about rebellion against convention. And so when everyone is posting about this, it's specifically around minority groups in low socioeconomic areas, then we get to say, well, what are the aesthetics that represent that scene or tell that story? And that's where we get to grunge, harsh lighting, excuse me, tilted horizons, deadpan expressions, so on and so forth, right? So let's have a look at their page. Look at this. Instead of being square on, perfect, like this is what traditional photography rule of thumb would tell you, is that make sure your horizon is straight. But what have they done? They've tilted it to the side and you've got a Dutch angle, as they call it. What else? In the background, there are broken tiles. Again, traditional photography will say, well, most advice around streetwear brands is find a nice blank background that's not too distracting. The thing is, you don't have to listen to that when you have a brand identity and when the photos that you're taking are aligned with that. This is more about the brand identity and the aesthetic that they've derived from it than it is about the clothing. You've got a black man here. He has a deadpan expression. And, you know, this does not look like a really high-class area, like he's a high-class individual. Let's go to the next one. This one is, I love this shot because this really is the embodiment of rebellion against the convention. It's an amazing juxtaposition between these two men and what's in their background. You've got the Eiffel Tower, which is a symbol of authority, of power, of money, wealth. You know, for a long time, the Eiffel Tower was the tallest building in the world. And so that was a source of pride for France. And then you have the two men in the front, you know, one of them who is smoking. And so you have this great juxtaposition, and they're almost redefining with this image. They're redefining what power and authority is. And in this way, they're sharing their brand message through the content. Let's go to the next one. Look, you've got three men in here. All of their faces are covered. One of them is blurred. I think this is they're relating to images or areas in society where the identities of black people have been taken, and they're almost taking the power back or redefining what it means to have an identity as a person of color. And so they have them in a community as well. This is how they start building the community, is even just displaying it in their brand image, in the image in their content. Here's another great one. Look, low shutter speed shot means you get the motion blur of the girl walking in the background. Deadpan expression, grungy area. It's not like, look, everyone's wearing either thongs or, you know, it looks like borrowed clothing, and, you know, it looks like the kids are around without parental supervision. This is a familiar shot for someone who has grown up in the hood culture. And so again, they're reflecting their brand identity. They've derived their aesthetic from the brand identity and reflecting it straight back at those who are going to be a part of the community. Here's a theme that they've used throughout their brand, the theme of dogs. And this comes into dirty and dangerous, right? I'm sure being in a low socioeconomic area, there's probably a lot more dangers, less police on patrol, and more dogs off the leash, more strays. And so that's why we have, like, maybe it's a Rottweiler, I'm not sure, not on the left side. Whatever the dog is that locks their jaw, I forget what it's called. Looks like the same dog actually throughout, which is quite interesting. Maybe it is. But you have all of the same elements. And here's another motif that they're using again and again and again, and it's the motif of community, of being a band of brothers coming together. In a lot of their shots, there's more than one person. And sometimes they're having to decide between, is this shot going to be primarily focused on the clothing product, or is it going to be focused on the brand message? A lot of the times it's focused on the brand message, and they even have a bit of product in there, which is absolutely okay and even beneficial for what they're doing. However, at the end of the day, they're saying, how can we display the product in a way that is always in line with the brand message? In all of these posts, I haven't seen one white person yet. And there's a reason why they're doing that. Here's another motif, smoking, right? Everybody in all of these shots is smoking. So again, they're showing who is the kind of person that is wearing our clothing. And then look at all the other brands. Like this is a brand, another brand from London, and you can see they've got the fast cars, they've got the jewelry, and they've even got the dog. So they're trying to, I believe they're taking a bit of what Corteiz has done and trying to apply it to their own brand. But you can see how Corteiz really does represent the rebellion against convention in everything that they do. When every other brand is representing this high status, high nobility, high notoriety in society, you have when every other brand is representing that idea of high status, you have Corteiz, who is representing or who is elevating those who've maybe never had any status before, who have maybe always been in the lower class, and who's finally giving them the opportunity to say, hey, this is us, this is the community, and it's absolutely empowering to do that to a group of people, whether it be a minority or not, right? The point is their rebellion against the convention is in all areas of their brand, and that is how they built a community. And so this is step 3. Simply cultivate a community. And there it is. Let me remind you, 1.3 million followers on a privated account. This is a true community, and you can see there in their bio, Corteiz rules the world. They are empowering a minority group, and that is how they are doing it. Because like-minded people are united by a central ethos, ideology, or lifestyle. In other words, an identity. Like-minded people are united by a central and common identity. That's all I'm trying to say. And if you cannot choose that identity, if you cannot decide on what this community is going to be about, forget building a community at all. No brand identity, no community. That's the baseline. The truth is you cannot build a community with an aesthetic, and neither has Corteiz, because their aesthetic is simply second place to the greater purpose, which is to shine a brand identity through everything they post. It's simply the outworking of how they do that, but it's not the origin. Their aesthetic is not the origin. And so next time you go to look at their page and you think, well, I see the Corteiz community and I want to build a community like them, so I'm going to post like them. Think back, step back and go, well, is this really all that's going on? No, there's a lot that you don't see behind what you're posting. However, you do feel it, and everyone feels it. And their empowerment of a minority group in low socioeconomic areas is the community they're building and is how they define the aesthetic that they have. So here is the actionable step. If you want to build a community like Corteiz, if you want to get to the level of Corteiz or even beyond, here is two things that you can do right now. Number one, start by specifically defining your brand identity. And I should add in there your unique brand identity, right? So pick a lifestyle, pick a ethos, pick an ideology, something that resonates with a very specific group of people, right? And here's some questions you can ask yourself to help you define that identity, that brand identity. Here's question one. If I had to choose one person to wear my brand, who is it? Right? Choose one person. A lot of people get really afraid about niching down, right? They say, I don't want to limit my sales. Well, Corteiz is niched down. And by the way, just because you market to one person doesn't mean you can't sell to everybody. Next question. What about them is aligned with my brand identity? What are the personality traits, the beliefs, the values? Why did you pick that person that embodies your brand? And what about them is aligned with what you're doing or where you want to go with your brand? And what kind of community do I want to bring together? Is it a community of people who like exploring the outdoors? Is it a community of people who call themselves young New Yorkers? Is it people who like to do water sports? Is it people who, it doesn't matter. I'm choosing some really niche and crazy things to open your mind up to the possibilities. Your thing might not be elevating those of low socioeconomic demographics. Your thing might be in the niche of football, or your thing might be in the niche of mental health. It doesn't matter. You just need to pick a community. Here's step 2. After you have defined your unique and specific brand identity, reflect your identity through every design and every post. Every design and every post. You cannot sleep on this, and you cannot decide to go half and half in, half out. You have to be 100% committed to the identity that you've chosen, to reflect it through your brand, through the designs and through the posts. Do you have to create t-shirts that have inspirational quotes on them? Absolutely not. Corteiz doesn't do that, and you don't have to either. The truth is, as soon as you start posting about your brand and its identity, your logo alone will pick up that meaning. It will take on that meaning. We can look at a Nike swoosh now, and it doesn't have to say "just do it" on it for us to realize that that is someone who is about motivating, who is about getting up on the cold mornings, who is about going and doing hard things. The logo takes on the message and the meaning and the identity that you tell through your brand. So here's a recap. Corteiz's strategy is very simply community. They start by defining their unique ethos, ideology, or lifestyle. In other words, their brand identity. Then they derive an aesthetic which attracts their target audience and builds or cultivates their community to sell out drop after drop after drop. Because remember the benefits of community: customer loyalty, increased customer lifetime value, decreased churn, and self-fulfillment, that you're actually making a positive impact in making people feel good about the fact that they're joined with a band of other people, like-minded individuals. So that's all for this video. I hope you found some value in it. If you did, you can trust that I post a lot more free value than just this. In fact, one of those ways is through my school community of more than 100 motivated brand owners. And you can use the link in the description to join up for free. I have a free streetwear marketing course inside. It's 8 lessons full of value. And so if you want to learn how to market your streetwear brand, then please use that link. All right, let's take this streetwear 365, as in 365 days of the year. I believe in you. I know that you can take this full time. And look, it's not as far as you think. So keep going, and I will see you for another video. I'm Elijah Delport. Thanks very much for watching.